Greetings and salutations, friends. Today we return with another Tango Talks, and today we are talking about WarHammer 40k DarkTide, and my hopes, dreams, and of course my fears for this game. Now, as of recording this, I have just learned that the game has been delayed until November 30th. 'Tis a shame. It was announced about 2 days ago, I believe, that the game will be delayed until November 30th, which is a shame, but as always, it is better to wait for something than for it to be rushed out, a la Cyberpunk and many other games that we know that have crashed and burned because they decided to kick it out the door. So, my dudes, let us dive head first right into this. First up on the list, getting the feel of the 40k universe. Now, I'm not a super ultra mega nerd about 40k. I am a super ultra mega nerd in general, but not specifically about 40k. And I will say that I am worried that while it does look like they're getting the feel of a 40k universe, I don't know if that's going to actually be in the gameplay. Now, what we've seen is that so far it looks pretty good. A lot of the gameplay that we have seen has seemed utterly dystopian, violent, gory, all the things you expect from a game like this, and from 40k, as well as very 40k specific things, including the technology that is involved. But I wonder how far it actually goes. As we know, gameplay trailers can be deceiving. Blurbs on Steam can also lead you in the wrong direction. So we will see if the game in its totality can capture that feeling of dread and horror that is the grim, dark universe. Another aspect that I am ever so slightly worried about is how they are going to do the loot. Now, in Vermintide 1, there was very little loot. You would usually get one loot item after every level that you successfully completed based on a dice roll. And this is one of the biggest problems I had with Vermintide 1 is that there wasn't enough loot for me, right? It may have been enough for some people. Some people loved Vermintide 1 just the way it was, but it kind of lost me on the reward aspect of the game where I didn't feel like I was getting enough reward for my time investment, other than the amazing melee gameplay, which was awesome, but not necessarily enough to keep me playing in the long term. Vermintide 2 ramped this up by making sure that after every single battle completed successfully, which means the mission was completed in its totality and you won, you would get 3 loot boxes based on dice rolls and based on the difficulty level that you attain, including difficulty modifiers that you could find in the level. So no matter what, you were going to get 3 pieces of gear, which, my friends, is how you do loot boxes correctly. I'm sure there are many other ways, but they did it spectacularly in that game. Now, there were downsides if you failed the mission. So imagine spending 30 minutes to an hour on a single level and then failing right toward the end. All that time felt like it was wasted and you get nothing for it, right? So what I'm hoping is that there will be either more loot in general in DarkTide. I'm hoping they keep the loot box mechanic because I actually quite like how they did it. It was guaranteed plus rando, and I quite like that. What I am hoping, however, is that there's more of it, and or there's a system where you get some type of reward, even if you fail. So if you're playing on a relatively hard difficulty, and you make it halfway through the level, that you'll still get some type of reward for your time spent, other than just like a tiny little bit of XP. There are numerous ways that they could do this. They could have a currency system or a token system that upon failing a mission, you gain this token or currency, and eventually if you have enough of it, you could then buy a loot box or a set of loot boxes with this token / currency. This would go a long way to alleviating the pain and suffering, as it were, that you experience when you work so very hard and spend so much time doing a mission and then just to fail and get nothing. I'm not only hoping that there'll be more loot in general, I'm also hoping that they'll have more equipment slots other than just weapons and 1 or 2 pieces of armor. In Vermintide 2, there were trinkets, charms, necklaces, ranged weapons, and melee weapons. While this is fine for Vermintide 2, I'm hoping that they amp it up a little bit for the WarHammer universe, considering there's so much more stuff in the universe as a whole that you could tweak. there's augmentations and psychic abilities and just all kinds of crazy shit that they could come up with and have more than like 5 pieces of gear that you can equip at any given time. Now, this may be a big ask, and one of the reasons they may only have so many items that you can equip is because it makes balancing the game easier between the different classes, which I can understand. It's just, I'm kind of a loot whore, and I like itemization and the whole, gamification that comes with that. And so it's just a hope I have. If it's not that way, I'm not going to be too mad about it. But one can dream, can't we? Moving on, the next thing I want to talk about is maps getting repetitive. Now, they introduced a little bit of randomness into the game in Vermintide 2 when they started moving around some of the objects in the game, the books and the potions and so on and so forth. And it does appear in DarkTide that they are going to be able to randomize the maps a lot more because it's in a hive city. The lore will be more respective to that, and it looks from the gameplay and from what the devs have said that they have certain set pieces that they could mix and match and create brand new random adventures. I'm not sure if that's true or not. This may be fake news. Don't quote me on it. But it does feel like they're going to do that. And that would go a long way, in my opinion, to alleviating the repetitiveness that the games like Vermintide 1 and 2 suffer from. Vermintide 1 more than 2. But eventually I did quit Vermintide 2 because the maps were just repetitive. It was the same old thing. And I had basically gotten the best itemization that I could at the current time. And so the only thing really left to do was to continue running the same old missions, doing the same exact thing, fighting the same monsters in the same exact places. And so it became a little repetitive. Now, my biggest fear that DarkTide may suffer from is the fact that, are they going to innovate the formula at all? Are they going to update it? Is it just going to be Vermintide 2 in 40K? And I can already hear the objections, how the devs have said that gunplay is going to make a much bigger part of this game because it's in the Warhammer 40K universe. And you could see that in the previews for DarkTide. The question is that an accurate assessment, or is it just that they've made the guns a little bit better and they've added more ammo to the game, but it's essentially Vermintide 2 with a 40K skin? That is one of the things I fear the most, that the enemies are just going to be, instead of being giant rats and skinny little chaos dudes, it's going to be, Nurgle bloats. And at least one of the abomination monsters in 40K looks a lot like an abomination from Vermintide 2. And I don't fault them for reusing assets. I absolutely do not. That shit costs a lot of money and takes a lot of time. Don't fault them at all for reusing and reskinning assets. I'm just hoping that that's not going to be the entirety of the experience. And from what I have seen, it's not. So far, everything that we've seen shows that that's not what it's going to be. That there may be some reused assets, but you're only going to notice it here and there, and it's not going to be a big deal. But, and it's a giant, fat but, we've seen this kind of, Mott and Bailey before, where we're told this, we're shown gameplay specifically designed to give us an impression, and we got blurbs on Steam specifically designed to give us an impression, and then when the game comes out, it's not what was expected. I hope that's not the case. The devs for this game seem to be upfront, and they seem to be passionate about what they're doing. They seem to want to bring the game into the 40K universe and not just be a reskin of Vermintide 2, or at least an amalgamation of what a reskin would be. I'm really hoping that's the case. And like I said, every indication so far is that it is going to be its own distinct game. And I mean, there's no way you're going to get away from comparisons to Vermintide 2, specifically because they are the master class of first-person melee combat in this type of game. It's just in a league of its own, and if DarkTide has that, well, of course, it's going to feel like Vermintide 2, but I'm hoping that the setting, the different items, the storytelling, and including the gunplay, hopefully the gunplay is just spectacular in its implementation, just like the melee is. I can already see that it has a lot of potential to completely outpace and outclass Vermintide 2. All that being said, let's talk about the specifics of the updating the formula that I'm talking about beyond just not being a reskin. And one of the things that Vermintide 2 did over Vermintide 1 was they added skill trees. So when you level up, you could get skills. I believe it's every 5 levels, you get a new skill. Some of the skills are basic stat upgrades. Some of them completely change how your character is played, and they're basic miss and match. You could get skills that make your dude more tanky. You could get skills that make your dude do more damage in melee or in ranged. My hope is that different classes have more skills than do in Vermintide 2, as well as abilities that have more impact on gameplay. Some of them are just generic, do more damage, you have more crits, more crit damage, you have more HP. Stuff like that is fine, but it's the Warhammer 40k universe. Drugs and magic and insanity are all about, and I hope that they make full use of it when they come up with the skills that we're going to be playing with in this game. And I feel that even the lore can support this, because not only are our characters criminal scum of the universe, we are fighting an unending tide of chaos and demonic entities, and there are people within the 40k universe, I use that term lightly, that do use things that most may consider heretical of some type to fight the forces of chaos and evil throughout the universe. The thing about it is it's a new planet, it's a new place, and they can pretty much do anything they want within the bounds of the system, and the system is pretty broad, and I'm really hoping that they make full and utter use of all the tools and the lore that they have at their disposal. That is my true hope for this game, is that they expand the Warhammer 40k universe in a way that most games wouldn't dare. And all we can do, friends, is pray to the God Emperor himself that FatShark does it right. All right, my dudes, that's going to wrap up our video today. Thank you very much for being here at the Tango Talks. If you want to see more of my content, please like and subscribe. Do all the good things. And don't forget that I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Saturday on twitch.tv/Tango Hotel. That's twitch.tv/Tango Hotel, where I stream all your favorite games, smashing my face into a concrete wall known as hard difficulty. It has been a pleasure and an honor to be here with you today, and I will see you guys next time, my dudes. Peace out.